We are a real Paleo-Libertarian. This is Rothbardian Paleo-Libertarianism!
Look at the world from 30,000 feet, and everything blurs into a single uniform grid. The global maps, the massive institutions, the top-down decrees from distant capitals, they all treat humanity as a massive, predictable monolith. They tell us that progress means lines on a spreadsheet, centralized control, and a culture scrubbed of its sharp, distinct, local edges. But if you look closer, down at the earth, humanity has never thrived on uniformity. It thrives in the specific. It thrives in the local patch of soil, the old architecture, the family unit, and the quiet, unyielding rhythms of traditional life. There was a time not so long ago when the scale of human existence was fundamentally decentralized, a time when a man's freedom wasn't granted by a state permit, but measured by the boundaries of his own property, the clarity of his output, and the strength of his community. It was a world built on simple, rigorous foundations. You learned the fundamental laws of nature and numbers. You mastered algebra. You worked with your hands. You respected the tangible laws of cause and effect, and you expected the state to leave your household alone. This wasn't an ideological utopia. It was a natural order. In the late 20th century, thinkers like Murray Rothbard looked at the rapid expansion of the global state and predicted exactly where we would end up. They realized that if you strip away the local culture, the traditional family, and the private boundaries of communities, you leave the individual completely exposed to the monolithic power of central banks and global bureaucracies. They understood that true liberty isn't a license to dissolve into a formless, chaotic mass. True liberty is the right to remain anchored. It is the freedom to protect your heritage, your local economy, and the specific traditions that gave your ancestors meaning. This is the core of the Paleo-Libertarian synthesis. It is the understanding that a completely free market and a deeply rooted traditional social fabric are not enemies. They're symbiotic. Without private property and sound, undevaluable exchange, a community cannot fund its independence. But without a shared moral framework, family stability, and a fierce loyalty to the local culture, a free society crumbles from within, leaving a vacuum for the state to fill. Today, we are told to trust the macro narratives. We are flooded with digital noise, global panics, and centralized solutions for every aspect of our lives. The hyper-connected world isolates us from our immediate neighbors while binding us to global trends. We are encouraged to forget the old ways, to view history as merely a series of errors, and to accept an engineered, standardized future. But the desire for the human scale cannot be easily erased. We don't need a massive engineered grid to dictate how we live, how we trade, or how we raise the next generation. The path forward involves a radical turn backward, back to the principle of strict non-intervention, back to the absolute sovereignty of the local community, and back to a system where the fruits of your labor belong to your family, not a distant bureaucracy. It is time to look away from the screens that standardize our thoughts and look back to the foundational truths. Work hard. Keep your parables local. Rely on the solid laws of nature and production. When you decentralize power and return it to the individual mulk owner and the traditional family, you don't just restore a lost political philosophy. You restore the natural order of the world.